Shalom Aleichem, Nala viewers. It's Rabbi Heshi Reichman, the Hasidic Spark, and we're talking about Purim now. And our shir is dedicated to the memory of Rochalei Basar Chaim Tzvi Oleh Shalom. Now, Purim is really, according to all the sages, the story of Amalek. Haman, Rasha, was a physical descendant of Amalek, and his plot to commit genocide and to destroy the Jewish nation completely, men, women, and children, was the basic Amalek agenda. Now, Amalek, according to Rabbi Soloveitchik, the Rav, based upon Rambam, is not just one group which has a certain genetic makeup, of which Haman may have been the last person that we know who had that genetic. Amalek is any group which adopts Jewish genocide as its agenda. So, for example, the Nazis were a modern-day Amalek. Now, what's interesting, what Shem Shmuel, and from the Hasidic point of view, points out a very interesting point, which he makes a very central point, which others don't necessarily do. And that is that if you learn Tanakh, you see that the story of Esther and Mordechai and Haman, this story takes place at the end of 70 years of exile, after the first temple was destroyed. And it's right before the second temple is rebuilt. That is a fact. That everybody knows. That the story of Purim took place during the 70-year exile, between the first and second Beis Hamikdash. And right after the story of Megillas Esther, the Tanakh continues with the story of coming back to Israel and rebuilding the Beis Hamikdash. In fact, Mordechai, in the book of Ezra and Nehemiah, he moves back to Israel. He joins the Jews in Israel to build the second Beis Hamikdash. Now, according to Shem Shmuel, there are two very important points here. This is not just an accident. It just so happened a Purim, Amalek, salvation story, and then we get a second Beis Hamikdash. This is a fundamental, according to him, this is a fundamental connection. Not just accidental, but fundamental. According to him, according to Hasidus, there's a fundamental phenomenon. And that fundamental phenomenon is that before major great positive events in Jewish history, like a building of a Beit HaMikdash, which is one of the greatest possible events in Jewish history, a place for God to live in Jerusalem. It's an amazing thing. Before that can happen, the Jewish people have to go through an ultimate test. A test which is so severe of their commitment to being Jewish, of their commitment to Hashem, of their commitment to Torah, that it tests the very fiber of their existence. If they come through that test, then they get the huge blessing of a major redemption. So there's always going to be major din, major justice, before the major, incredible chesed, the kindness and blessing. The din has to precede that chesed. This test, this severe test, has to be the preliminary, the introduction into the great blessing which follows. And therefore, the Jews had to go through this danger of genocide in order to merit the blessing of the second Beis Hamikdash. Now, my friends, this was a very severe test, because the Jewish people, and all of this is Shem Shmuel description, the Jewish people had basically given up hope of ever returning to Israel. First of all, the shock of a temple being destroyed, which they thought was God's house, which lasted for more than 400 years. They thought it was an impossibility for that to take place. Second of all, The Jewish people themselves had lived in Israel for over 850 years and thought they could never be exiled. The shock of that double loss of that Beis Hamikdash, that first Beis Hamikdash, and the land of Israel was a tremendous blow to their sense of identity, to their sense that they would survive as a people. Then they were given a 70-year promise that the prophet Yirmiyahu told them that after 70 years they would return to Israel. 70 years had come and gone, and there was no return. There was another blow. And because of all of this, plus there was an addition, there was periods of severe persecution, religious persecution. There was also periods of tremendous opportunity to assimilate, which was going on in the time of Achashverosh. So there was huge intermarriage. And Jews were doing tremendous business with the Persian Empire. And Mordechai at one point was a very important minister in the government. And Jews were circulating in the palace. And all of this bred tremendous abandonment of Judaism and of Torah. The Jewish people thought